It's time for Grizzbeat, a full-court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Hey everybody, welcome back to 191 Beale Street, just across from FedEx Forum. We are back with Grizzbeat. The schedule drops in just a few minutes. It's coming out, and we're going to have it all for you right here on Grizzbeat. Tell you what the Grizzlies are going to do, and even talk a little bit about the national schedule. First, though, let's introduce our wonderful and illustrious panel here in the studios of Grind City Media. We've got, to my left, the TV voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, the one and only Eric Hasseltine. Eric, you're all tanned and ready to go, right? Voice in good shape?
Yeah, except you said TV and I'm on radio.
TV.
But that's all right. I guess I take that as a compliment that you think I'm good looking enough to be on television.
I got Rob Fisher.
The powers that be disagrey, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at Rob, and Rob's all well.
What do you mean that's true?
Yeah, that's why I'm on television.
Rob Fisher is
within striking distance.
Rob Fisher's the sideline TV analyst for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's here. And you got your charts and graphs ready, as you always do on scheduled drop day, right?
This is it's one of my favorite days to just kind of see what's coming when my life changes.
So you're the only one that got the schedule before we got it dropped. Is that it?
Well, no, that's not true.
Just making sure.
A few of us were able to take a peek at it, and of course, as always,
I got sources that I went to from other teams.
Oh, look at you. You're doing some sleuthing there. The super sleuth, Rob Fisher. And as always, in studio with us right now, we've got the guru of Grind City Media himself, the great Michael Wallace, as my grandson likes to call him. Well-tanned, been traveling around the world. Well-tanned as always. I would say as usual, but I'll say as always.
Absolutely, man. I could have been in the North Pole and had this tan, maintained this tan, man. So it's all good. Ready to get going.
Hey, man, let's do it. So let's go ahead and start out. Let's talk about these are the things we know right now about the Grizzlies schedule. Of course, the preseason, the Grizzlies have got some games. They're going to start out with 3 straight games at home. On October 6th, the very first preseason game for the Grizz will be against the Detroit Pistons right here in FedEx Forum. That'll be followed 2 days later by the Boston Celtics. The Green will invade the Forum. And then on the 11th of October, it's a game against the Atlanta Hawks right here in Memphis. Then the Grizzlies will close out the preseason with 2 games on the road. They'll be in Greensboro to play the Charlotte Hornets. They're taking their show on the road there in North Carolina. And the final preseason game will be on October 17th, and that will be down on South Beach against the Miami Heat. We think training camp's going to open at the end of September. They'll have a week to get ready and get into it, and then they'll be off and running playing games in the association. Speaking of the association, the national schedule, we can tell you some of the games we know about right now. And of course, coming up, the opening night schedule for the NBA, and there are some big games planned on opening night. As you see, the Houston Rockets will take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending league champion. That is set for Tuesday night, October 21st. That is the first night of season number, what is it now? How many years is the NBA going on now? 78?
Oh.
70. We just had the 75th.
78, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So the association's been around a while. That is opening night. And then the late game will be a doozy, the Golden State Warriors taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. So a big opening night planned in the NBA. Also happening in the NBA, we've got the Christmas Day games that we want to tell you about, and you'll see they got a big schedule on Christmas Day. Grizz not involved, didn't think they would be. These are the teams, though. Of course, they're going big market, as you might expect, with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. They'll tip it off on Christmas Day, Thursday, December 25th. That'll be followed by the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama against the defending champion Thunder. Then it's the Dallas Mavericks, the 5 o'clock game taking on Golden State. And the Rockets and Lakers will be the 8 o'clock game, followed by the final game of the night, which could be a really, really, really good game. The Minnesota Timberwolves against the Denver Nuggets. And now the NBA also going, of course we know the Grizzlies won't be involved with the MLK Day game at home because they'll be on the road, way on the road, across the pond in Europe, We'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But the MLK Day games, there's what we know so far. Honoring Martin Luther King will be on Monday, January the 19th. There'll be 4 games that day. The Milwaukee Bucks at the Atlanta Hawks. Oklahoma City, boy, they're getting all the pub, as they should, as the defending champion. Oklahoma City taking on the Cavs. It'll be the Mavericks at the Knicks. And finally, the Boston Celtics, the late game after you've opened all your presents at 8 o'clock, taking on the Detroit Pistons, and that could be a really good game. All these games looking really good. What stands out to you, first of all, about the Grizzlies and about the rest of the NBA schedule? Eric Hasseltine, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, the preseason, you're going to get a chance to get a good run going with being at home for as long as you are, and then only 2 road games. So that's a good chance to get a lot of work done and not be traveling a lot in the beginning. When I look at the Christmas Day games, it's all Western Conference teams except the first game, which is tradition in New York to have the first Christmas Day game at Madison Square Garden. But that shows you that the league right now looks at the injuries that have occurred in Boston, the departure of Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. You look at the injuries in Indiana. Those teams that are in the upper echelon, they're not sure what Philadelphia is going to be. It's all Western Conference teams after that first game. So that's the first thing that stood out to me. And then I'm glad that the NBA is going to keep the MLK Day celebration going in Atlanta, where I think it should always be a game there as well. But this year is the first year in a very long time that the Grizzlies have not played on that day. I think the last time was when they played on a Sunday and of the weekend here against the Chicago Bulls, and the outrage was so high that it went back to Monday. But for this reason, I think this year where they're going to go overseas, it's not as egregious as before.
Rob, I want to talk to you really quickly as we get into more of this, that nice little synopsis from Eric Hasseltine there, but there's more games that the Grizzlies are involved that we do know about. They will be playing in the Emirates Cup, something that the Grizzlies have not really done that well in, and we do know what they're going to do this year. They start out with a doozy in the Emirates Cup, October 31st. Listen to this now. We got the schedule out. It will be against the Los Angeles Lakers right here in Memphis on Halloween night. The Grizzlies and the Lakers. Then the second game of the Emirates Cup, they play 2 games at home in the Emirates Cup. They'll play the Dallas Mavericks here on November 7th. And then 2 games on the road to close out the Emirates Cup. There'll be a game November 28th down in New Orleans against the Pelicans, and they'll close out the Cup with a tough one on the road at night, November 28th against the Clippers. Is this a group of death for the Grizzlies in the Emirates Cup, Rob Fisher?
Well, it's not easy. But I don't know. I mean, it all depends on how good the Grizzlies are when the season starts. I mean, those first 2 games, the Lakers and Dallas are both really early in the season. But maybe the 2 toughest opponents, I guess the Clippers would be maybe better than Dallas, right? I don't know.
I would think so.
But Dallas is right there. So Dallas and the Lakers, you have them both at home. So maybe that makes a difference for you there. But yeah, those are both early. Get your first taste of Cooper Flagg and that team. Which looking at those national schedules, I mean, there's a lot of love for Dallas.
Yeah, there is
starting this season.
They must think Kyrie is going to make a miraculous recovery or something.
Or he get the number 1 pick.
He's Cooper Flagg,
possibly a generational talent.
Possibly, yeah. But. So having those games early, I think, helps. And then the last ones, New Orleans. The Grizzlies have had 0 success in the Emirates Cup. I mean, 0. They won 1 last year, right?
The last one. So they've got a 1-game win streak.
So they got a 1-game win streak, but it's the only 1 game that they've won in Emirates Cup play. I think this week,
1-game win streak. Yeah,
this year, right. I say they win 2 or 3.
Oh, wow. That's really good. That's very optimistic, especially since, a couple of those games, the early ones, you're wondering if Jaren Jackson Jr. will be back from that toe injury. Hopefully he'll be back by the middle of October. But, if he doesn't get the ramp up to go until the end of
I'm looking at the best for Jaren because Jaren has been a quick recovery guy. So I'm hoping for the best that Jaren will be back on time.
All right, and Michael Wallace, of course, the Grizzlies are going to Europe for a couple of games. They'll play over there. That is why they are not in the MLK game this year. We are told and we are promised it will be back in Memphis next season. This is a one-up, but when you get an opportunity like this, you better damn well take it. I'm going to tell you that right now. When you get a chance to go overseas and represent the NBA and bring the Memphis brand and spread it across the world like this. 2 games across the water, Michael Wallace, 1 in Berlin and another in London. And this is something that the NBA is finally looking at Memphis, and they know that the Grizzlies have a generational talent in John Morant. Do you think that's why the Grizzlies are getting the pick to go overseas?
I mean, that's one of the reasons, right? One of the other ones is that the Grizzlies hadn't been selected recently, right? It's been almost 20 years since they had a chance to take a trip like that, overseas. And when the NBA says, hey, you have this opportunity, as one of the 30 teams in the league, you're obligated to do that. Now, the commitment is still there for the MLK weekend celebration. They're going to support the National Civil Rights Museum and all the efforts that are going to be going on back here. But they also have a chance to walk in MLK's legacy, too. It was 62 years ago this winter that Martin Luther King went to London, spoke at the St. Paul Cathedral, before he accepted the Nobel Peace Prize on that same trip 3 days later. So the Grizzlies have a chance to go in that same area and do the same thing. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
And while they say that, the Grizzlies won't be actually playing on Martin Luther King Day, that'll be a travel day in between, they're going to definitely be speaking a whole lot about all those things. And I'll tell you from personal experience, I saw John Morant jerseys all over Paris at the Olympics a couple of years ago. So it's going to be great. Now, when we come back on Grizz Beat, we're going to break out the season for you. We've got it here for the Memphis Grizzlies, including, here's a teaser, opening night, the Grizzlies will be at home for the home and season opener against those guys from down the river in the Big Easy. We'll tell you all about it when we come back on Grizz Beat.
You ready? I've been ready. What are we waiting for? The boy is mine.
Let's go, Grizz! Let's go! Oh, John Morant just broke the rim with that finish. Defense, take that ball! Defense, take that ball! Jared with a rejection. Give me that! Morant digs at it, knocks it away. Picked up by Pippen.
The NBA announced their dunk of the year yesterday. It was voted on by the fans, and it went to John Morant for his double clutch through Porzingis and Derek White. The call of it was excellent. That game we hung on to for a long time last season, but it was a spectacular dunk.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Speaking of Adidas, are these the Harden 10s?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess so.
From what
You guys don't
speculation-
sound too excited.
Nah.
It kind of looks like when you flush the toilet in the water.
Yeah, it's like a whirlpool.
Like a
Want to
whirlpool.
be phone positive? Yeah. Want to be phone positive?
Or artists just making some paint up and they just
Looks like phone positive material.
Yeah, or a
Yeah,
thumbprint.
like-
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Alrighty, folks, I'm looking at my watch. It's 2:14, but guess what? We got the full schedule for you right here. Come on, if you could zoom in, you could see it, but I'll just tell you what it is. On opening night, October 22nd, the Memphis Grizzlies will host the New Orleans Pelicans right here in FedEx Forum. Of course, it will be the debut of Tuomas Isalo as in his season opener as head coach. It's the home season opener and the regular season opener for the Grizz. They're doing it all in one, so it should be a big night downtown here at the Grindhouse for the Grizzlies. They've got like three games in that first week of the season. The second game is the Miami Heat here in Memphis on a Friday night, a big Friday night. And then Saturday night, you've got the defending, I guess you could say the defending runner-up in the NBA, the Indiana Pacers, come to FedEx Forum on Saturday night. Wow, 3 games in 4 nights, so really, really difficult way to start the season for the Grizzlies. We'll see if they're up to it, especially with some of the guys that we're expecting to be out. But also, let's give you some 7 key dates that are coming up for the Grizzlies in this first part of the season. There's going to be some really big games. On Halloween, the Grizzlies will... what? I missed one? What happened?
We're not ready yet.
Oh, we're not ready for that.
Not ready yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's go for. Well, tell me, guys, what do you think about the first part of the season? You got 3 games and 4 nights to start the season before you hit the road at Golden State on October 27th and Phoenix on October 29th. What do you think about this? This start to the season with 3 and 4, when the Grizzlies will be a little shorthanded. You know that Zach Edey will be out, and quite possibly Jaren Jackson Jr. will be out as well.
Well, the good thing is they have experience doing that. This is the 4th straight year they've played 3 games in the first 4 nights, not counting the Tuesday night opener that the NBA has. But in years past, it's been travel days. If you remember, they went to Dallas a few years back in the first stretch of this after playing in Houston. Took a tough loss there in Dallas. The next year they came back. They had to travel. They had to go to Washington. They lost that game as well against a Wizards team that didn't finish very high in the standings. So that was one that when you look back at that year, you're like, you're giving one back to the field there. Unfortunately, that year went off the rails with all the injuries. And then last year they had the same situation. I think they beat Orlando at home. So they were at least at home for that 3rd game in 4 nights. I just don't – I've said it every year. I get the NBA has a really difficult job at hand to make the schedule. 3 games and 4 nights to open the season, I think, is a lot to ask of anybody. These are finely tuned athletes, there's no doubt. But the 4th straight year you're doing it, it's obviously a trend. So my question becomes, after we get off the air, looking at who the Grizzlies play on that Saturday night, whether or not they're playing Friday night. Because the years past, the 2 years where Washington did not play on Friday and Dallas did not play on Friday, they handed it to the Grizzlies. I mean, the game was over by mid-second quarter. Last year, Orlando actually played Friday night. The Grizzlies got the win against the Magic on the home court. So I think that plays a big factor in that. Just knowing the early part of the schedule, that's the first thing that jumped out at me. I'm like, seriously, again? 3 games in 4 nights? That's 4 years in a row. 1 year, it'd be nice just to play Wednesday and Friday or Wednesday and Saturday and that be done for the first week.
Yeah, what makes it tough is the fact that you're coming out of training camp, so your muscles are already
But at least
sore.
you're at home. Yeah, you're at home that whole time. So, I mean, there's no travel involved like there has been in years past.
All right, now let's get to the 7 games in the first 7 games that are really, really key for the Grizzlies to start the season. Of course, we already told you about the home opener against the Pelicans. And then that Lakers game on the 31st, Halloween night, that's a Friday night. It's a part of the NBA Cup. The Los Angeles Lakers come to town. And then also part of the Cup, you've got the Mavericks, and they've got the #1 pick with Cooper Flagg out of Duke University. He was the overall consensus. Everybody knew he was going to be #1, and he was the #1 pick. He'll be making his first appearance right here in Memphis. Then on November 9th, the Oklahoma City Thunder, it'll be their first trip to Memphis since the opening round of the playoffs last season. The defending champs will visit the Forum. And then you've got your international games. And January, on the January 15th and 18th, they will play the Orlando Magic. Unfortunately, that will be when the team first meets Desmond Bane. He was the member of the Big Three here. And when the Grizzlies decided they had to use that money in other ways because he makes some big buck. He's got big bank, and they had to make a decision on, do we continue with Dez or do we try to get more assets for him? So on the January 15th and 18th, they will be in Europe at Berlin and London. And then on February 25th, the Warriors. It's Mr. Curry, the NBA's top shooter forever and ever, will be in town for their first visit. And always, there hasn't been very much good blood between the Grizz and Warriors. And then the Houston Rockets at Houston on April the 12th. That is the regular season finale, and who knows what could be in store for that game. Hopefully 12, as you see on the picture there, will be ready to play all of those games. Some really, really big games to look forward to for the Grizzlies. Rob Fisher, what do you see in that? Which one jumps out to you?
Well, the Lakers and Golden State both jump out. The Lakers because it's game 6 of the season, and it's at home. It's on Halloween night. It's a Friday night. It's a cup game, so you expect everybody to play if healthy, and so I think that's exciting. I mean, that's marquee type of night. Golden State, when they're coming to town in February as well. And I say those 2 games only because it's the only time both those teams are coming to town this year.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the disappointing things, 3 teams only come to town one time. And this year it happens to be Golden State, the Lakers, and the Utah Jazz. So you miss a Golden State and Lakers game this year, which is a little disappointing. But I think that Houston game, how good's Houston going to be this year? That's going to be a lot of fun to close out the season there. And does that mean anything? Because you look at the end of the season, 4 of your last 5 games are on the road, finishing with that game in Houston. So that'll be a big one, too, at the end of the season.
Yeah, you can see the full schedule on Grizzlies.com. It's front-loaded with home games, and there are a lot of road games toward the end of the year like there were last year. And so what do you think, just in looking at the schedule right now? Of course, we got a tough start with 3 and 4, but what is the Grizzlies' toughest thing with their first 20 games on the season? The first third of the season, you won't have Zach Edey at the beginning. You may have Jaren Jackson Jr. Hopefully he won't miss, but 3-4 games maybe, and he'll be ready to go. What is it that let's start with Michael Wallace. What do you think about the first 20?
That's going to be the season to me. That's going to be the season. Now, we know the Grizzlies last season, they got off to a solid start, and then the back end of the season is when it kind of got away from them.
Right.
But they can't back their way into the season this year. The West is just too good, and the Grizzlies just have too many questions that they're going to have to try to overcome. I think the first 20 games of this schedule is going to define the Grizzlies season overall. And I think if it's a struggle, then you go into the trade deadline season and, the midway point of the season, and you got to ask yourself some really, really tough questions. But having said that, it's Isolo's first full season at the helm. The injury issues and the recovery is also a timetable. You're going to have probably 4 first or second year players in your rotation starting the season off. And you got some big time games against some quality playoff competition right off the bat in your first 20 in October and November. So that's going to be crucial. And, we're going to know where this team is headed through 20 games very, very quickly.
Now, Eric Hasseltine, we've seen that the Grizzlies had notoriously been slow starters. They got off to a pretty decent start to the season last year. But, if they go 5-5 in their first 10 or they're somewhere hovering around 500 through the first 20, that could be a good sign knowing that you've got guys coming back from injury and hopefully he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I think having 3 back-to-backs in the first 20 is interesting. One of them being going from Toronto back home. You have the Halloween night game. You leave the next day for Toronto. You play Toronto on a Sunday. You come back and play Monday. But you do catch some teams here at the beginning of the year. When you look at it, you catch the Indiana team, and you mentioned Jarvis, that's going to be without Tyrese Halliburton, very different look. No Miles Turner. Not a lot of people picking them to do a lot this season because of that. Toronto's a game that against a team you don't expect to be in that playoff picture. Boston, a lot of people picking them not to be a part of it, but you play Boston on the second night of a back-to-back after playing in New York the night before. You do face a good Cleveland team, so you face some of the better teams in the East early on, but you also face some of the teams that could be at the bottom. And I'm not trying to knock Indiana and their depth because that was one of the big reasons they made the run they did. But without Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner, they're just a different looking squad right now. So I really believe that, it is going to determine it. I think expecting them to be where they were last year, last year going in, Rob and I had a lot of talks because I thought their schedule last year was really tough in the beginning. I thought they could go, to 8-12, 9-11, and they came out and they played terrific basketball. And what were they? I think 12-8 or 13-7, and set the tone. So I'm not putting that past them, but without the services of Edey or Jackson, if they're not available, that's going to make it tougher. So hopefully those guys get back in somewhere in the midst of that 20-game stretch, because that takes you all the way through Thanksgiving, and you're on the road for Thanksgiving, so that's not going to be easy as well. That's a tough thing to do when you're away from your family. You're trying to get somewhere to Thanksgiving Day. Travel can be a nightmare during that time. Obviously, it's not the same when you're doing charter flights, but hotels are packed. There's a lot of people milling around the city, and then the day after Thanksgiving, everybody's out. So it'll be interesting to see how they play through that. But it's an 82-game season for a reason. At the end of the first half this year, the Grizzlies were this past year, they were in a great spot. The All-Star break came past the halfway point, but then the Grizzlies faltered from there.
Yeah, I think Memphis finished 12-17 down the stretch, which is like, it's like, well, yeah, they fell off a cliff, but then you look at the fact that,
they played a lot of really good teams.
They played good teams, and then you had 2 injuries there.
Yep.
You had BC went out, and then
Jalen Wells.
Jalen went out, and then of course John went out. In the well, we won't talk about that anyway. That's in the past. Let's go. The Grizzlies. We got a new TV contract this year. The Grizzlies the NBA is going with NBC, my old network, and also with Amazon Prime and Peacock. And so it's going to look a little different when you search the channels to find the Grizzlies. But here's a look at the NBA's national broadcast schedule. Got 10 games on, which is pretty good for a team that some people saying this could be kind of a transition year, as the Grizzlies could be taking a step back with the Desmond Bane trade, or maybe if Cedric Howard, the top pick for the Grizzlies, come through, then he might take a step forward. We will see. But you'll see that the Halloween game against the Lakers, that's going to be on Amazon Prime. Don't know yet, do we, if they're going to have simulcast with the locals?
Not sure.
Rob Fisher, do you know?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say.
You have intel that you're not giving us.
I'll say this: like in the past, we can also broadcast when ESPN does.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah,
So I'll
Michael
say-
Wallace will pull your toenails out to get the answer. Let's go back and look at the rest of that schedule. You can see that of course, the Lakers on Prime, and then on Peacock, you got the game coming up right near Christmas on December 22nd against Oklahoma City. And then on over-the-air broadcast television, it'll be the Grizzlies against the Sixers. The Philadelphia 76ers on January 30th. Then here we go, the two games on across the pond in Europe, in Berlin against the Magic. That'll be on Amazon Prime, as will the game in London against the Magic on the 18th. Then back on this side, stateside, on January 30th against the Pelicans. That's an ESPN game. The Timberwolves on Peacock. And you see the rest of the games, the Nuggets, the Warriors, and the Hawks, all on Peacock. That's 10 games national. Michael Wallace, that's you think that's about right to get that number of games for this team?
That's about right. You know what I mean? We didn't see them on the opening week national broadcast. We didn't see them on Christmas Day. We didn't see them even on MLK, right? So how do the Grizzlies make up those national games? You play some teams that are going to be in demand nationally. So I think if they perform well, especially, through the first part of the season, I don't know if there's ability to flex some of these games like some of the networks had before. But at the end of the day, man, the Grizzlies just have to do their job on the court. And if you do your job on the court, you're an elite team, the attention is going to come. And I think ultimately that's it. But 10 games national is about right for where they are.
Rob, have you seen what's your feeling with that? Because I know you guys working with the broadcast crew, the TV broadcast crew. Sometimes you get to do it, sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. And I know you say you can't really tell us, but what is the feel as far as how that's going to work this year?
I mean, in the past, it was we could broadcast when ESPN did or when NBA TV did, but we couldn't when it was TNT or when it was ABC. So now, like I said, we will be able to do the games that are on ESPN. The other 7, I don't know if I can talk about it, but it's with the new TV deal. My guess, I don't know. I better not say. I don't know. I don't know if I can. I'm sorry.
We need to see more Rob Fisher. We need to see more. We need to see more Rob Fisher.
Out of the parking lot.
We need to see more Rob Fisher. No matter what.
Last thing this segment, who we need to see more of is John Morant. Eric Hasseltine, do you think with the way that the Grizzlies they've moved away from Desmond Bane, they're bringing in KCP, and they got Ty Jerome, hopefully to give them a little bit of help in the backcourt there, the durability. He's had a great international trip himself this summer over in China, where he just blew up the internet with everything that he's doing over there. It looks like his mind is refreshed. Can his body hold up?
That's the $1 million question, because sometimes, as they say, the best ability is availability, and it's not like he's missed, other than the one season, obviously, with a couple of years ago where we knew he was going to be out the first 25 and then the torn labrum, but it's not like he played 25 games last year. I mean, what did he play, 62? I mean, he missed 20. So that's not great, but that's not missing half the season like some guys will. So I think he's capable of doing it. I think if you get above 65 out of him, that's phenomenal. That's great. If you can get to 70, that's even better. The age, we're in the age of teams are going to err on the side of caution and rest guys when you have 3 games in 4 nights, when you play back-to-backs, when bodies are tired and someone says, hey, my body doesn't feel right, they're going to go, all right, well, then take the night off. You have the luxury of signing Ty Jerome, and you still have Scottie Pippen Jr., so you have some depth in the backcourt there. Cedric Coward coming in as the new draft pick, as long as he stays healthy. Jalen Wells back. So there's some more depth in that spot. You have another ball handler now. I think the Grizzlies the last couple of years, and it's nothing against Scottie, they did not have a traditional point guard to back up Ja since the departure of Tyus Jones. And the fact of the matter is, Ty Jerome can fit that bill. He did a great job with Cleveland last year. He's really a guy that's kind of fits the mold of what the Grizzlies have been in the past. Guys that have played with a chip on their shoulder because they were overlooked. So I think that's a great piece to have right there, and it gives you a little more leeway, and we'll see how it goes. But fingers crossed, we like seeing him on the court more than we like seeing him in street clothes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And hopefully we get to see him maybe in an all-star uniform again for Ja Morant and some other Grizzlies. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back in our next segment of Grizz Beat.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball. But the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board. A class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Going through the draft process the first time, they give you the answers to the test. Like, this is what you need to work on. This is what you do well.
They told you.
Yeah, like they tell you.
Here's what, if you want to get drafted, here's what needs to happen.
Yeah, they tell you. So it's like, if you're not listening, it'll go right over your head. But for me, I made sure to soak up all information and everything possible so I can give myself the best shot.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Speaking of Adidas, are these the Harden 10s?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess so.
From what
You guys don't sound too excited. It kind of looks like when you flush the toilet in the water.
Yeah, it's like a whirlpool.
Like
You
a
know,
whirlpool.
want to be phone positive. Yeah. Want to be phone positive.
Or artists just making some paint up and they just
Looks like phone positive material.
Yeah, or a
Yeah,
thumbprint.
like-
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Grizz Nation, the schedule for the 25th season of Memphis Grizzlies basketball is here. Mark your calendars for big matchups and get ready for can't-miss moments at FedEx Forum. Single game tickets go on sale Friday, August 15th. That's tomorrow at 12 noon. Straight up, as we say in the hood. Call 901-888-HOOP, 901-888-HOOP, or you can visit grizzlies.com/schedule to see the schedule and get ready to secure your seats for the 2025 season right here in FedEx Forum. You see Jaren Jackson Jr. with his new uniform number 8 to honor his dad, who played a long career. 10 years, I think, 12 years in the NBA as a journeyman, but did very well. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is honoring his dad, changing his number from 13 to 8. Now, the Grizzlies themselves did something they just completed. They have their own schedule release video. We've got it for you. We want to see it right now.
25 seasons.
Memphis, it's time.
Only in the movies and in Memphis. Deafening inside FedEx Forum.
I was there on day one.
Welcome to NBA basketball in Memphis.
Now with the right-handed hook, rattles in. Against Doncic, now against Hayes, banks it in. Look at the emotion shown by Edie.
We were there.
for Hubie in the pyramid.
The people of Memphis know the game, and they love the game. If we can win, we're going to love this thing.
And good hands here by Gigi Jackson.
We were there
when FedEx Forum opened.
Facial. Aldana against the shot clock.
I was there for Believe Memphis.
Believe Memphis. Randolph for the win. Yes! John Moran just broke the rim with that finish.
I was there for Made in Memphis.
Knocked away from behind by Gasol. Here comes Conley on the attack. To Prince, to the rim. Left-handed jam in traffic. Oh, that's a highlight reel. Scottie Pippen Jr. Now he steals it from Gilgeous-Alexander. Morant to the rim. Two-handed jam.
I was there for Memphis versus everybody.
First team all defense.
Morant with the steal. BC with the slam.
I was there for Grizz Next Gen.
Blocked by Jarrett. Lob Bryant with the punch.
Brandon Clark has been making hustle play after hustle play, and that one leads to a highlight play.
Be there for season 25.
Wow, if that don't get you ready for the season, I don't know what will. Season 25 starting October 22nd against the Pelicans right here at FedEx Forum. Now, let's get into some questions with our panel here about what we think is going to happen. First up, let's talk about, look at the screen there. How many Grizzlies do you think will send to LA for the All-Star game? How many Grizzlies will make it? Who's got a chance to? There's like over under 3.5. If I gambled, I'd put that maybe with, I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm not a gambler. You got Jaren Jackson Jr., you got Jalen maybe, Zach, Cedric Howard could be in the rookie game. How many will go to L.A. for the All-Star game? We'll start out with Eric Hasseltine, the radio voice of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Why do I always get to be on the spot first on something like this? I'm not a gambler either. No, I sure do.
Every single night.
Well, I think it's the key in there is All-Star weekend, not All-Star game.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Zach Edey if he comes back and performs the way they think he can, and he's basically the walking double-double you hope he can be, and the way he played in the 9 games under Tuomas Isalo it gives you hope that he can put up those types of numbers. So I would think he's a likely candidate for that Rising Stars Challenge game, as well as Jalen Wells, the way he played and finishing in the top 3 of Rookie of the Year vote. Whether Cedric Howard gets there or not, that may be the one that tips it in the favor. If Ja's healthy, he's an all-star. There's no question that people view him as one of the top-tier players. And Jaren had a phenomenal run to the All-Star game last year. Second half of the year, he tapered off a little bit, battling some ankle stuff that he tried to power through. But he proved that he is one of the top 20 players, I think, in the league last year, or maybe top 25 in some people's book. But that puts you in the mix for the All-Star game. The question is, with the West being as loaded as it is, how does that impact one of those guys going to the game? So I will go ahead and say over, because I think if the Grizzlies are solid, they get one of those 2 guys on, and I think you have at least 2, if not 3, going to the Rising Stars Challenge. So I'll go over.
Rob Fisher, you're studying your charts and everything. You've seen this team.
You host an odd show.
That's correct.
This is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. I'm going to root for 4. I'm going to root for 4, and with that being, I think because I think you have a chance, as Eric said, of the 3 going to the rookie game with Zach and Jalen, and you hope that Coward is that type of player, and then you have to choose from Jaren and Ja as well. My hope for this season, it's all dependent on Ja. So if Ja is healthy and Ja plays games, Ja will be an all-star.
Right.
Period.
Period.
So I'll go ahead and say he will be. It's going to be tough for Jaren. The West is loaded, and he'll have to do something spectacular, numbers-wise, to get it. because everybody's going to have good numbers, you know. So he'll have to do something that really stands out. Maybe that's his defensive play.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say, you think maybe that's block numbers back up.
Yeah, maybe that's something, you know, that early in the season it changes a lot. I would assume, especially early in the season, Jaron might play a lot at center, so maybe those numbers will be up. So yeah, I'll say with a chance of 5 guys, I'll go ahead and take the over 3.5. Sure.
The over we got 2 on the over. I'm going to ask you this question before you get started on your answer. You think somebody like Ty Jerome might have a chance to get maybe the 3-point shootout?
That is exactly where I was going to go. Okay. So now you got to figure out, okay, I agree with these 2 guys. I think it's going to be a Ja or Jaron in terms of the Sunday game. I think there's an opportunity for a Ty Jerome if he can, you know, if he's interested in a 3-point contest to go and represent the Grizzlies there. So that's 2 right there. And then, you know, I really believe Cedric Coward is going to put himself in the rookie opportunity. And I think either Zach or Jalen will be available for the sophomore side. So I go over. I go over with 4. That 3.5 number is pretty fair. But I'm going to go over with 4, and that will be a heck of a representation for this team. But they also still have to be competitive. I think they're going to get an all-star in there no matter what, either Jaron or Ja. And I think they're going to get one of the rising star spots.
Who's the wild card in that? You think it's Jerome or you think it's Coward? Because you know either Jaron or Ja, if they're healthy and play.
Probably Jerome. He's got to want to do it, number one, right?
Well,
Coward has to be
in
available.
Position with Ja as his point guard if he's out there with him.
Yeah.
You know, he'll get some open looks.
But we've also had, Luke Kennard. You know, and never really did it, right?
Difference. Luke Kennard, shoot the ball, Luke.
That's what I'm saying.
Jerome,
but if you look at
let that thing go. You know, he's doing it.
But Luke was that before he came to Memphis, though. He was firing that thing up. So we'll see. But I think that's a fair number to set it at 3.5. That's pretty intriguing right there.
I kind of like that number too, and hopefully that, you know, one thing, if they get 3.5, if they get 4 in, the Grizzlies are doing pretty well, which is what we all hope will happen. Now, let's go with our next question. What game is the first test for the Grizzlies for this new season here? What is the very first real test? We know they got the Pelicans on opening night. Yeah, Pelicans aren't very good. Anybody can beat anybody in this league. We know that. But what's the first real test? We'll start out with Eric Hasseltine.
If you're not going to count the Pelicans on opening night, because I think that's a first test because you're playing potentially without Zach Edey or Jaren Jackson in that first game. That's the potential. We don't know if that will be the case. We'll know when we get closer to it. But if neither one of them are available, that's your first test. You see what you have with the guys that aren't there. After that, I mean, obviously you got to look at Halloween and the Lakers coming to town. It's the first cup game, so you fully expect them to play everybody. Luka looks leaner and stronger. They did all the big hype about that on ESPN and showing that he's transformed his body. What type of shape is LeBron going to be in at this stage of his career? Does he just continue to keep the train rolling down the tracks as he has? There's no reason to not believe that will be the case. The guy takes better care of his body than probably any athlete to play any professional sport other than Tom Brady. We're looking at a guy that at this stage in his chronological life, most guys that played NBA basketball have their feet up or either on television, watching television, or coaching on a sideline, and LeBron is still out there scoring 25 a night. So you have that Laker team coming in that could be really good this year. They could have some falters. We don't know. But I think that's a first good litmus test there as well. And then I look down the road a little bit longer to see, you want to get tested, that New York-Boston back-to-back, because we know Boston is not going to look the same. Drew Holiday is not there. Kristaps Porzingis is not there. Jason Tatum is out. But it's not an easy place to play. And you're coming off playing in Madison Square Garden where it's always an event. They're really good still. They're going to be really good again this year, even with a new head coach. We'll see how Mike Brown does. But I think that back-to-back on the road, it's not an easy one. That'll be interesting to watch.
Rob Fisher.
I think that I think the first real test is probably the Lakers, like you were talking about. It's a Friday night, it's Halloween, it's the Lakers in town, it's Lakers night. You know, the fans will be pouring into FedEx Forum. You'll have all the Lakers fans. Yeah, I mean, it'll be an event, and that'll be a lot of fun. But I'll go to the game before that. You know, your first road game's at Golden State. That's a very difficult test, but it is wherever it is on the season. You know, I mean, going to Golden State's tough. So I won't count that one. It's that next road game. It's at Phoenix. You should be better than Phoenix. Can you get out on the road and get that first road win? Can you go there and beat them on the road? And can this team, is it Has it come together well enough through training camp and through the preseason and through these first couple of games to be able to be together and get a road win? So I'll go with at Phoenix as the first test.
You like Phoenix? It could be tough because you're out there in the desert and there's a lot of things to do out there.
It's beautiful weather, although that gets you ready to play.
Yeah. All right,
Or golf.
Yeah.
Where's Brevin?
Yeah.
Well, the guru of Grind City Media, your first test.
You know what? I agree with Fish in a way. It's interesting that you position the Phoenix game as the bigger test because Golden State's going to be tough no matter what.
Yeah.
You got to prove that that's a team that you can be able to beat on the road. That's one of those things that will define potentially how good of a team you are. Not necessarily what you do at home, but on the road. But I'm going to go Golden State only because that was a house of horrors for the Grizzlies last year. I can remember time after time, game after game, Eric and I up in the radio booth just waiting for
what's going to happen?
The other shoe to drop.
Like,
when is that?
Was this the time you stole my M&Ms or the other time you stole my M&Ms?
I don't steal them anymore. You give them to me
because you always stole them.
But the real test, I don't. You can. How can you steal what you've been given? It's a gift.
That's why.
Here's the real test. The real test is Eric Hasseltine going to pay for the bill at Original Joe's the night before the game at Golden State. So that's what the test is.
Did I not take care of the bill last year?
I don't remember.
And the year before?
I don't remember ever paying for it. I don't remember ever paying.
That was your choice, not ours.
You chose not to come, Fish, that time.
I don't think you were on that trip.
But good deal, though. These are all going to be tests. And all of these games that we talked about are within the first 2 weeks of the season.
All right, playoff push now. We got to talk about it because the season's front-loaded with home games. A lot of home games at the beginning of the year. A lot of road games at the end of the year, like last season. Last season, it fell apart after the All-Star break. A week after the All-Star break, the Grizzlies were second in the West and then just fell over the cliff after that. What in this playoff push, as we've mentioned earlier in the program, Memphis finished 12-17 down the stretch. Injuries were a part of that, and you had the coaching change and all that. I don't know. I don't see another coaching change happening. They made a decision to go with Isolo unless something happens at the beginning of the year. Then they'll ride it out, I believe. But what do they have to do? What does it look like at the end of the season they have to do?
Well, I think logically you think in his first year that Coach Isolo is in good shape, but we've seen really strange things when it comes to coaches in the last 2 seasons.
I saw you guys raise your eyebrows.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing against Coach Isolo. It's just you realize now as a head coach, you don't have any guarantee of safety at any point in any season. I mean,
right.
The Grizzlies made the decision to move on from Taylor Jenkins, and Denver said, here, hold our drink, we'll do you one better, and fired Michael Malone and their general manager right before the season ended. Now, you do have a lot of first-year coaches, so I don't think there's going to be as much of that this year. I think, obviously, the key is getting to the All-Star break with as many wins as you possibly can. That's Captain Obvious right there. But to get there, you have to be as healthy as possible, and they've got to come out of the break healthy. They've got to use the break and make sure that they are healthy to make that stretch run. Look, in the West, it's no secret. You've got a ton of talent. You've got the defending world champions. You've got Denver, who's still got Nikola Jokic. You've got Minnesota, who's still loaded. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lakers, Clippers, Rockets are expected to be up there. I thought it was interesting on opening night. I talked to a couple of my friends with each of those teams, and they both predicted that they would be the opening night matchup because of the Kevin Durant trade and because of the stigma that they're supposed to be the top two teams in the West. You throw in Sacramento, who's looking to be better again this year, and they have a different looking roster. Will that come together? I don't think you can really look at any team and say, all right, that you can kind of write them out of the picture other than Utah and Portland. That leaves 13 teams.
New Orleans, Utah and New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. I think they're
too. Yeah, but some nights they can be good.
You never know. With
so can Portland,
New Orleans the thing with New Orleans is if Zion Williamson is healthy, then who knows what they can be. I mean, like, they've got some young guys there that can play. Yeah. I thought their draft was interesting. Okay, so let's take New Orleans out of the mix. That still leaves 12 for 10 spots. And the two that weren't there last year are obviously Dallas and San Antonio.
And they're better. Yes.
And San Antonio is expected to be better. They should be better. Yeah. Dallas expected to be. I'm not counting on Kyrie coming back before the All-Star break. I think that's a lot to ask of a guy that age to come off a knee injury like that. But Cooper Flagg could spark a lot in there, and they've got an interesting look to that team. I mean, I'm not putting it past the Grizzlies to be in the mix to not only be in the play-in, but be out of the play-in, to be possibly in the 6th spot or even the 5th spot if they stay healthy. But you got to play well down the stretch. The thing that stuck out to me at the end of the year, again, like last year, you've got 4 games on the road out of 5, and the only home game is the second night of a back-to-back. So before you get to that final 5, after game 77, I'd like to see a spot locked with an X next to it and know that you're in and not in the play-in if at all possible. If you're in the play-in, then you're hoping for home court advantage in the first round.
I totally agree with that. Rob, we're going to get to you because you got a whole lot to talk about.
I'm gonna throw Phoenix in there too. I'm throwing them out.
Okay, so now we're down to 11.
I'm
You're
throwing
throwing Phoenix out?
Yeah.
You don't believe Dylan Brooks can be the savior of the Suns? I'm going to let Dylan know that when we see him, by the way.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
To your point, 13 out of the last 24 games are on the road.
Yeah.
So
tough stretch.
that's not a recipe for a lot of success if you're a team just kind of struggling a little bit trying to find your way.
But-
so they have to be able – now, the level of competition, we'll see where it is at that point. But there's going to be a lot of battle scars just because to get to those last 24 games, you're going to have to endure quite a bit in the West.
Yeah,
It's on you.
To try to put it a little more positive, I guess, at the end of the season, and you're both right with everything you've said, but you do have your longest homestand of the year, 5 games, right before those last 5. So in your last 10 games, you are playing 6 of 10 at home.
Right.
So it's not now you're going to have to take care of home, and home's not a cakewalk. You got San Antonio, Houston, Chicago, Phoenix, Dallas, and Toronto. So there are a couple cupcakes in there. But then it's at Milwaukee, Cleveland at home, and second night of back-to-back, as you mentioned, and then at Denver, at Utah, and at Houston. So you do have some wins in there. But if you're gonna do anything, and if you're gonna be anything in the West, you got to be like every other team in the West. You're gonna have to win some of those.
Well, and I think
win some games that you're not supposed to. Something the Grizzlies did not do last year.
The last game at Houston, if you need it and they don't, you can look at a situation where they don't play anybody because they've locked up a home court advantage, whatever. They're expected to be in the
1,
top
2,
4.
or 3.
If they can be 1, 2, or 3, and if it's locked up at that point and they don't need to play to be the 2 over the 3 or to be the 1 over the 2, and they're locked in, you're going to see nobody. You may not even see Reed Shepherd, and you didn't see him at all last year. In his second year, you might not see him again that night.
Could you name the starting 5 for Utah in that second to last game?
Who?
This is who?
We're at Utah.
Is Lowry
second to
Markkanen
last
going to
game.
still be there?
If he's still there.
If he is,
Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey.
Well,
They might shut him down too. I don't
that you
know.
already got that check by your name when you get to that point.
Walker
Rob,
Kessler
let's give you the final rundown on all this season, this schedule. Because
What do all these colors mean and markings?
I think
hold it up. Let the people see.
It's
there
up there. Yeah, I think the Michael, you said it earlier, and Jarvis about the first 20. I'll be a little more specific. I'll say the first 22 are very important. 8 of the first 11 are at home, and then 9 of the second 11 are on the road. And it's a tough stretch. That 9 of 11 on the road is a tough stretch. We've talked about the New York-Boston back-to-back. You're at Cleveland, at San Antonio, at Dallas. You are at New Orleans, but then you're at the Clippers, at Sacramento, at San Antonio. You haven't won a game in California in 2 years.
Yeah, didn't win a game in California last year.
So, I think those first 22 really set up the schedule. The rest of the schedule, there are a couple long stretches where you're on the road or a couple long homestands, but there's really nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think, on the schedule. It's those first 22 that really stood out to me. You do have 4 back-to-backs in March. So that's kind of tough at the end of the season when you're grinding, like you hope you're going to be grinding at that point. To have 4 back-to-backs that month, that's a little much. And there's one crappy back-to-back at Oklahoma City, 8:30 start time, and then playing in Utah the next night.
Yeah.
And then Eric and I, well, not Eric, he's not. Yeah, no, Eric and I are both screwed in our Florida trips this year. No Orlando because they'll be playing in Europe.
Yeah.
And Miami's second night of a back-to-back after a game here. So getting to Miami about 2:30.
There's still things to do there.
That's true. Miami doesn't shut down
Michael knows
until the
where
sun
they're at.
comes up.
They'll still have a late night parade. They'll have a late night parade Disney style for Michael.
Personally, that upset me.
We'll have lunch.
And then we're out that same night, though. It's not like we probably even get that next night off. You know what I mean?
Well,
we'll be coming back
that
the
the
same
Grizzlies
game
won't
night.
take any nights off when they're supposed to play. Let's go talk to you right now about, we told you earlier, Jaren Jackson Jr. is changing his number from number 13 to number 8 in honor of his dad. And he made a little video about it. Let's take a look.
What inspired me was really my father. I think just being connected to him more on the court. This is not the first time we've shared a number. We shared a number in college. So just that connection and that bond we have, it's a number we've both worn in the past. It symbolizes new beginnings, and that's just how I feel right now. I think it was always meant to be this number. I just didn't know it yet at the time. And whenever I had the idea, the second I had it, I made it happen. Winning a playoff series, probably when we won, when we beat Minnesota. Winning a playoff series is probably the one. I don't know. There's definitely better feelings in the world, in the universe. There's not that much that's topping that feeling. I remember when that happened. I think 13 symbolized a lot of the ways I was coming into the league in the beginning in terms of trying to prove everybody wrong or right or whatever. And people were saying 13's bad luck or 13's this. And I was like, all right, well, if you feel strongly, I'm just going to use it. So that's just kind of how it is. And I'm just going to go against the grain and I'm going to make it positive. But I feel like tapping into where I got that energy from, like, it's good, but it isn't as sustainable once you get early or once you get older, because it's just kind of like, you're not as worried about what everybody else is doing or saying. You're worried about who you care about, and you're worried about who's going to war with you, and you're worried about your habits. And I think, I want to be infinitely, about that sort of thing forever, about my discipline and my habits. So 8 really kind of just puts that on display of things being infinite. It's something that me and my dad have already technically shared in the past, but now it just makes a lot more sense. It comes together. And then I didn't do this for this reason, but it is year 8. So I'm not doing it for that reason. That'd be weird if I did it for that reason, but it just so happens. So things work out if you just let it.
That's great to hear from one Jaren Jackson Jr. Also, my brush with greatness, I share the same birthday month with 1/12. John Morant. We were both born in August. Of course, he just celebrated his 26th birthday this week. I just celebrated yesterday I won't say, but you can do his number opposite and add a few. Anyway, let's hear from John Morant. Happy birthday, John. Let's hear from him.
One and done for the Grizz. Look at Holmgren in the open floor, working against this man, and Morant.
And that right there is the extra effort he got on this block. Look at his head, Spiro.
This is where they have gotten to cut the deficit, but then Boston has had and Morant with a block of Brogdon. A steal, a block, 7 assists, and unafraid to wipe it away when it gets close to the glass. Look out below, John Conchar. Irving against Morant. Irving, blocked by Morant! We're going to overtime!
Well, do it on both ends, didn't it? Or late pass. There as he did to Huff. It comes up with a steal.
Took it away from Murray. Yes! And the foul. A lot of strength in that wiry body.
And what I told you, the dedication on the defensive side has been tremendous.
They prepare for this. But the tap comes to Jalen Green. Doesn't have numbers. Steps through. Oh, Morant blocked the shot! You've got to be kidding me! Morant!
A second look, and he comes back and gets it. But look at John Morant, and he wasn't even on our screen coming down, and he goes out here flying, has to duck from the backboard.
Off. And Smith Jr. Oh, Morant defending the lob. Points to Wells, says, I'm going to give it to you, young guy, and he splashes the 3. Got the steal and the assist. Look at Gooseneck, got to get back. Marketing going long. Oh, by Morant. A sensational skyscraper block. Jaren for 3. Nearly banked it in.
Did you see that block? I didn't even know Jaren had the ball. I'm still amazed that we had our point guard go to the top of the block.
Jackson again. Mathurin on a run out, and Morant ran it down, but they'll count it as a goaltend.
See, did he?
And Taylor Jenkins is, I think he's going to challenge this.
We get a chance to look at, they're contesting it. It may have been simultaneous, Chris. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that will be close.
Yeah, that's going to be close. This is really the angle. He put the ball to the backboard. That's not going.
2-point game. Big lead for New Orleans has been 7. Yeah, what a steal. Wasn't that something? Here comes Morant. He'll fly. And a tee. How about that? Behind the back and takes it.
Avery Bradley with the deflection against Bang. Oh, Morant! What an incredible block!
Snatches it. Look at him go up and just two hands.
Oh, wow.
He hits his elbow on the backboard. That's what freed the ball. That guy is unbelievable.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Morant can fly. And I'm just so glad that we share the same birthday month. Yes, that's all I'll say about that. And that's all we've got to say for this edition of Grizz Beat. It's been great being back with you. We're going to be back again with more as we get ready for training camp and the rest of the season. We want to thank Eric Hasseltine, the radio voice of the Grizzlies, for joining us today, as well as Rob Fisher, the TV sideline reporter for the Grizzlies. And as always, the guru of Grind City Media himself, the great Michael Wallace. CJ behind the glass, spinning all the dials for us, making sure we're on the air. It's 3 o'clock, time for us to go. Love you guys, and we will see you next time right here on Grizz Beat.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of Grizz Beat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.